You ever deliver a wedding speech so savage the groom's own mother clutched her pearls like a soap opera character, and the open bar closed early because everyone forgot how to function? No? Well, grab a drink. Because I did. And I'd do it again. Let's rewind. My name's Leah. I'm 32, an attorney, single by choice, and also by dating app trauma, with a decent apartment, a subscription to 4 mental health apps I don't use, and a slow-burning resentment that finally found its moment to shine in full wedding regalia glory. The cast of this absolute mess. Emily, my younger sister, 29. Looks like she stepped out of a Pinterest board. Smiles like a pageant queen. Lies like it's a professional skill. Daniel, my ex-fiancé. You know how some men have punchable face energy? Daniel had deception with cologne energy. Smug. Polished. A gold-plated trash can. My parents. Think waspy emotional repression and a belief that Emily can do no wrong because she had anxiety that one time in high school. Let me set the stage. 5 years ago, I was engaged to Daniel. Things were good, or so I thought. We had an apartment, matching mugs, and Spotify playlists for road trips. I was the sucker who believed in if he wanted to, he would. Well, he did. With my sister. Yep. Walked in on them. In my apartment. On my couch. With our Netflix paused mid-episode. I lost my mind. Emily swore it was a mistake and not ongoing. Daniel tried to gaslight me with, "This is your fault. You're never home." I was in law school, getting a degree so I could one day dismantle men like him. So, irony. My parents suggested I handle this privately because family is forever. I didn't speak to any of them for over a year. I built my life. Quietly. Cleanly. Professionally. I buried my anger under cashmere sweaters and dental appointments. I worked hard. I dated casually. But when the wedding invitation came, it was like someone dropped a lit cigarette into my closet of dry emotional baggage. Emily and Daniel. Together at last. Join us in celebrating our loved of. And here's the kicker. They asked me to be the maid of honor. Emily even had the audacity to call me and say it would mean the world to me. We've grown so much since then. Oh, babe. I've grown too. I've grown claws. And I said yes. Not because I forgave her. Not because I forgot. But because this time I was going to sit at the main table with a smile on my face and burn the whole damn thing to the ground. Legally. Elegantly. Publicly. What followed was 4 weeks of subtle, meticulous prep. Some women plan dream vacations. I planned a takedown. The speech? Already in drafts. The receipts? Oh, honey. I had receipts that could shake foundations. And I was about to drop them like confetti on a wedding cake. Next part. Rehearsal dinner, old passwords, and the kind of text messages no groom should be sending, not even from his work phone. Stay tuned. It gets worse for them. I showed up to the rehearsal dinner looking like I'd forgiven everyone. Tailored jumpsuit. Hair in an elegant low bun that said, "I meditate," but my smirk said, "I am the storm." I brought an expensive bottle of wine I didn't even like, just to seem gracious. Emily hugged me like she'd never dry heaved in my guest bathroom after banging my fiancé. She had the nerve to whisper, "Thank you for being here, Leah. You being here makes it perfect." Oh, sweetie. You think I came here to be a part of this? No. I came here to witness it so I could later dismantle it with cold, elegant precision. Like an art thief returning to the scene just to make sure the cameras are still broken. Daniel looked worse than I remembered. Maybe not physically, he was still tall, well-dressed, annoyingly symmetrical, but his eyes. They flicked away every time I looked directly at him. Guilt sits heavy on some men. On Daniel, it looked like a crooked tie he couldn't straighten. Dinner was held at some high-end bistro Emily probably picked because it matched her Pinterest wedding vision board. Her in-laws were there, and they had the air of money that's just a little too clean. People who say, let's circle back, outside of work contexts. They all toasted to love, new beginnings, and of course, forgiveness. I laughed. Out loud. Just once. Covered it with a sip of Pinot. After dinner, Emily handed me my maid of honor duties folder. I wish I were joking. It had tabs. Color-coded. This woman thought I was going to help her plan a wedding like we were 12 playing Sims, and not two adult women, one of whom once betrayed the other in a way you usually need therapy to process. I smiled and took the folder. I already had something better. The break. Back at the hotel, I kicked off my heels and cracked open my laptop. I hadn't done this part yet, I was saving it. Call it dessert. See, Daniel was never very creative with passwords. Back when we dated, he used the same one for everything, Carson87, because he has the imagination of a brick wall. I didn't expect it to work. But when I typed it into his old Gmail, it opened. I didn't scream. I just whispered, "Oh, you idiot." The gold mine. I found emails to multiple women, including a friend from the gym who sent him, let's say, stretching videos. Confirmation emails for a dating site created after the engagement. A draft folder with saved messages, some of which he'd copied and pasted between women. Copy and paste. But the worst? A folder labeled vows. Inside? A Google Doc where he described Emily as emotionally exhausting and said, "It's easier to marry her than break up. Her family would implode." Ouch! I took screenshots of everything. Saved it to the cloud. Backed it up on a flash drive I now wear on a chain like a crucifix. I was now holding the digital equivalent of a tactical nuke, and the wedding was 24 hours away. All I needed now was a microphone. There's something weirdly meditative about watching your sister walk down the aisle toward the man who ruined your life, knowing you're about to ruin theirs right back. Publicly. Elegantly. In high heels, Emily looked stunning. Truly. Her dress was some ethereal lacy thing that floated like she was being carried by the ghosts of all the women she'd ever betrayed. The makeup was soft. The smile was radiant. She looked like the poster girl for a second chance. And Daniel? Daniel looked smug. Not happy, just smug. The kind of man who truly believes he got away with it. Who thinks a tucked-in shirt and a rehearsed "I do" somehow erase what came before. I stood beside the altar, bouquet in hand, wearing gold. Not bridesmaid pink, not seafoam blue. Gold. When Emily asked us to pick our own dresses, I saw my loophole. I didn't pick gold for attention. I picked it because it looked like armor. The ceremony. It was as fake as a Hallmark movie plot. The vows were overly emotional. Daniel teared up reading lines I now knew he barely wrote himself, at least not sincerely. The "till death do us part" landed like a slapstick joke to me. Emily looked at him like he was salvation. I resisted the urge to yell, "He cheated on you last month," because that moment wasn't the one. Yet, I clapped when I was supposed to, smiled for photos, posed beside them like we were the holy trinity of denial. The venue. The reception was held at a vineyard. Picture this. Fairy lights strung above long wooden tables, candles flickering in mason jars, floral centerpieces that probably cost more than my first car. It was all perfect, which made it the perfect place to destroy. I greeted relatives, made jokes with bridesmaids, took selfies with Emily's high school best friend, who, incidentally, Daniel also flirted with via email in 2018. I didn't tell her. Yet. The DJ played soft jazz while we waited for the toasts portion. And I was ready. The toast prep. I had 3 versions of the speech on my phone. The nice one, full of sanitized stories and fake giggles. The passive-aggressive one, veiled jabs wrapped in humor. The nuke, The one where the truth came out. The one with timestamps, quotes, screenshots. Guess which one I had printed and folded in my clutch? I also had the video. From Daniel's email. A 44-second front-facing phone camera recording where he's shirtless, grinning, whispering sweet nothings to a woman who wasn't Emily. The one where he said she doesn't know. She never will. I uploaded it to a Dropbox. Synced it to my phone. Tested the Bluetooth connection to the DJ's AV system earlier when no one was watching. It's amazing what you can do with confidence and a clipboard. And now? It was time. The coordinator clinked her glass and called for speeches. The crowd quieted. Emily smiled at me, trusting, believing that this was her moment. She handed me the mic, and I stood up, ready. I stood with the mic in hand and did something that, in hindsight, was probably scarier than public speaking. I smiled. Everyone was smiling back at me. A sea of porcelain veneers and rented tuxedos. Emily's eyes glistened, her mouth curled into the kind of smile she used to give when she needed to borrow my clothes and pretend we were best friends again. Daniel gave me that stiff half-nod that men use when they think they've moved on. His arm rested over Emily's chair like he owned her. I had to physically resist the urge to laugh. Instead, I cleared my throat and began. I just want to say how honored I am to stand here today, beside my beautiful sister and the man she loves. We've come a long way, haven't we? That line landed well. People chuckled. A few nodded warmly. Emily's smile faltered for half a second. Emily and I have always had a complicated relationship. I was the older sister, the planner. The one who made flashcards and color-coded binders. Emily was more spontaneous. I heard someone snort. Possibly my cousin Rachel. God bless her. So when she told me she was getting married to Daniel, I thought, wow, I know this man. Intimately. Silence. Emily blinked. I mean, from all the years of family gatherings. Obviously. I smiled again. The kind of smile that says, you don't know where this is going, but you should be worried. But jokes aside, weddings are about truth. Vows. Promises. The foundations of love. And that's when I paused. I pulled out my phone. Daniel shifted. Emily tilted her head in that "what are you doing" way. I gave her a little wink. And I think if we're celebrating foundations, we should be honest about them. So, I'd like to share something Daniel said recently. About Emily. About this marriage. Because honesty is the best wedding gift of all. I tapped my screen. The projector flickered to life behind me. And there he was. Daniel. Shirtless. In bed. Grinning like a sleazeball. She doesn't know, video Daniel whispered, eyes half-lidded. She never will. Honestly, it's just easier this way. Her family would implode if I left. Besides, she's exhausting. But she looks good on my arm, so. Gasps. One woman covered her mouth. Emily's entire body froze. Daniel stood up so fast he knocked over his wine glass. It shattered. Somewhere in the distance, a server dropped a tray in solidarity. Leah, he said sharply, stepping forward. I held up my hand. You've had your turn. Let me finish. I turned back to the guests. That video is from 2 weeks ago, by the way. Taken while Daniel was texting another woman whose name I won't say, but let's just say she's sitting at table 9. A sharp inhale came from table 9. A blonde woman turned beet red and stood up. She looked at Daniel. He looked at the floor. Emily? Emily was silent. Her face blank. Her hands clenched. I walked over to her. Calm. Collected. Mic still in hand. I didn't come here to make a scene. I came here to give you what I never got, the truth. Now you can decide what to do with it. Then I turned to the guests and said, enjoy the bar. It's open. And I walked off the stage. The mic clicked as I placed it down gently on the sweetheart table, between the untouched glasses of champagne that would never be clinked. Behind me? Chaos. The DJ shut off the music. Someone screamed. Daniel chased after me like I'd dropped a bomb. I had. Emily didn't follow. She just sat there, bouquet in her lap, like she was waiting for someone to tell her it wasn't real. But it was. And it was delicious. I didn't run. Let's make that clear. I walked, heels clicking on marble like I was modeling for the cover of Vogue, Scorched Earth edition. My gold dress swayed with each step. Guests parted for me like the Red Sea. I smiled, nodded, told one elderly guest, the duck was great, by the way. Behind me? Screaming. Some crying. Someone definitely threw a drink. Daniel's voice barked my name like that would summon me back to fix the disaster he built with his own infidelity and lies. Sir, I'm not a mop. Clean it up yourself. The escape. Outside, the valet looked confused. Miss, is everything okay in there? I handed him a folded 100. It's better now. He handed me my keys like I was royalty. Honestly, I felt like I deserved a sash at that point. Maybe a crown. Queen of calm destruction. I drove to my hotel. Checked in under a fake name I often use for court research. Thanks, legal training. Poured myself a glass of wine from the minibar and sat by the window. Feet up. Shoes off. Dress still perfect. Then the text started. The group chat implodes. Mom. Leah, what did you do? Dad, call me right now. This is unforgivable. Emily, no message. Daniel, you ruined my life. I hope you're happy. Uncle Gary, that was better than Netflix. Shout out to Uncle Gary, truly. I ignored most of them. Blocked Daniel. Left the family group chat. Poured another glass. I don't regret a single thing I did. But I did start bracing myself for the full fallout. And oh, did it fall. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. The video had hit the wedding hashtag page before the reception even ended. Apparently, someone at table 14 recorded my entire speech and uploaded it to TikTok. Within hours, it had 1 million views. Captions ranged from hashtag weddings gone wrong, hashtag exposed in gold, hashtag mic drop maid of honor. She doesn't know. She never will. Famous last words. Daniel's law firm was tagged in the comments. Someone had posted screenshots from the dating site account. His bar review rating plummeted overnight. Turns out, cheating doesn't go down well with clients looking for a trustworthy lawyer. Oops. And then, Emily texted. Just her name on my screen made me pause. I expected fury. Insults. Maybe the word jealous, because that's a classic hit from the Narcissist Greatest Hits album. Instead, I got, "You were right. I'm sorry." I stared at the message so long my wine got warm. Then another came. "Can we talk?" I didn't know what shocked me more, the fact that she admitted it, or the fact that a small, buried part of me still wanted to talk. I didn't answer her right away. I stared at Emily's "Can we talk?" message for a solid 10 minutes like it was a crossword clue I wasn't sure I wanted to solve. The only reason I didn't delete it was because something about her first text, "You were right. I'm sorry," felt off. And not in the usual Emily is trying to guilt me kind of way. It felt small, like the text had been typed by someone who had finally run out of lies to cover herself with. I told her I'd meet her the next morning. Neutral ground. Public space. Somewhere neither of us could throw a wine glass if the conversation went sideways. So we picked a place we used to go to in high school, a little corner cafe that hadn't changed its ugly wallpaper or its weird peppermint hot chocolate since 2007. We used to sit there after soccer practice. Or when our parents were fighting. Or when we needed to pretend we were close. I arrived early, ordered coffee, sat in the corner booth, and waited. She was 15 minutes late. When she walked in, I barely recognized her. No makeup. Hair tied back in a messy knot. Yesterday's wedding makeup still faintly ringing her eyes like smudged mascara war paint. She looked like she'd aged 5 years in 24 hours. I didn't stand. Just sipped my drink and raised an eyebrow. "Hi," she said. I gestured to the seat across from me. "Talk." The confession. She sat down. Didn't touch her drink. "I'm not going to pretend I didn't do something unforgivable," she said. "But I need you to know. I didn't know he was still cheating." I didn't speak. She inhaled like it hurt. "I thought I was the exception. The one he left you for. That made it real, right?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You thought betrayal made you special?" "I was 24 and stupid," she whispered. "And I hated that you were always ahead. School, work, friends. Mom and Dad never said it, but we both know they expected more from you and pitted me." I blinked. I hadn't expected that level of honesty, especially from her. "And Daniel?" I asked. "What about him?" She went quiet for a second, then pulled something out of her purse. A small black notebook. Spiral bound. "I found this a week before the wedding," she said, sliding it to me. It was hidden in the bottom of his suitcase. I opened it. Page 1. "Emily, prone to anxiety, clingy when stressed. Needs validation. Tactic: gifts plus praise before confrontation." Page 2. "Leah, dominant. Analytical. Easier to manipulate emotionally. Feels guilt when pushed." I flipped through page after page. It wasn't a journal. It was a playbook. He'd written profiles of every woman in his life. How to handle them. What worked. What didn't. One page was dedicated to someone named Kayla, trainer, who got physical distraction plus wine equals compliance. It was psychological warfare. Weaponized charm. Clinical, cold, methodical. Emily looked at me. He studied us. Both of us. And that chilled me more than the cheating ever had. The shift. We sat in silence for a long time. Just the sound of the espresso machine and someone in the corner typing loudly. Then she said, "You were right to do what you did." I was mad, but I needed to know. I nodded, slow, measured. "You still married him," I said. "I was scared to back out," she admitted. "And stupidly, I wanted to beat you. But when I saw that video, it was like seeing the actual man I was marrying for the first time." We didn't hug. This wasn't a rom-com, but there was a truce in the silence that followed. She picked up her coffee. "I'm moving out. Going to stay with Aunt Claire. And I'm changing my number." I nodded. "Good." She stood up, turned to leave, then paused. "He never loved either of us," she said. I looked her dead in the eye. "Then maybe he deserves to be alone." So here's the thing about men like Daniel. They're not afraid of losing love. They're afraid of losing control. Love? Optional. Empathy? Situational. But power? That's his oxygen. And baby, I came with a blowtorch and burned the whole supply line down. The aftermath. The wedding fallout became something between a true crime podcast and a Shakespearean tragedy. You couldn't script it better. Emily went into full scorched earth mode. She annulled the marriage within 72 hours. The video? Oh, it made its way to Daniel's boss, who, fun fact, is also my former internship supervisor. Yes, I know. Delicious. By Monday morning, Daniel was put on indefinite leave pending a review of professional conduct. Let me pause here and say, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't call his job. I didn't send an email. All I did was speak the truth into a mic. The rest? Consequences catching up like they always do when you stop running. Then came the lawsuit. You remember that playbook Emily found? She sent scanned pages to one of Daniel's former clients, a woman he had dated while representing her in a divorce case. A woman who's now suing his firm for breach of fiduciary duty. Girl. When I tell you I screamed. Daniel went from future partner to radioactive. Clients dropped him like he was laced with bedbugs. His LinkedIn suddenly said open to opportunities, and his Instagram, which used to be gym selfies and #hustle, went dark. But I wasn't done yet. The gift. I don't like revenge for the sake of noise. I like it for the silence it creates. So I sent him a little package. Just a small box. No return address. Inside? A framed print of the moment from the video where he said she'll never know. A flash drive containing a PDF of his manipulation journal. Bookmarked. And a single sticky note. You were wrong. We both know now. Apparently, he opened it in the office. In front of a paralegal. He punched a filing cabinet so hard he fractured his hand. I know this because someone, hi, James from HR, DM'd me with the subject line, Jairl, you are a legend. You can't buy that kind of poetic justice. My family? Mom called, crying, asking why I couldn't have handled this privately. I asked her what part of being publicly cheated on and erased for 5 years was private. She went quiet. Dad said I'd humiliated the family. I told him I finally learned it from the best. I didn't pick up the next time they called. Or the next. Me? I took a week off work. Booked a cabin by the lake. Brought a bottle of wine, a Bluetooth speaker, and one single downloaded file, Daniel Voused, Docs. I played it aloud one night under the stars and laughed so hard I snorted rose. Somewhere out there, Daniel was jobless, friendless, and probably trying to rewrite history like the mediocre villain in his own failed story. And me? I was free. I thought the dust had settled. Thought the echoes of my mic drop had finally stopped reverberating through the grapevines of our extended family's group chats. Wrong. Turns out when you blow up a wedding with the emotional precision of a Navy SEAL, there's always some weasel trying to pop out of the wreckage and play devil's advocate. Enter Cousin Brittany. Brittany is the kind of person who takes no sides publicly but DMs you later with, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but... Translation. She's about to say something stupid. Her message? A multi-scroll essay that opened with, Hey girl, I just wanted to say I admire your courage, but maybe it wasn't your place to say all that at her wedding? Ma'am. Whose place was it? The DJ? The bartender? I responded with a single sentence. I got cheated on, lied to, gaslit, and erased. I earned the mic. She left me on read. Good. That's the best use of silence she's ever practiced. The wedding venue. A few days later, I got a phone call I almost didn't answer. Area code looked like spam. But curiosity won. It was the venue manager. Hi, Leah. We just wanted to thank you for handling things so gracefully. Gracefully. That word had me blinking. Turns out, after my toast went viral, their venue booking inquiries tripled. Apparently, couples were reaching out because they loved the ambience from the wedding with the viral speech. The ambience. I gave them ambience like a volcano gives warm lighting. They even offered me a free private wine tasting if I'm ever in the area again. I told them I'd bring popcorn and a PowerPoint next time. They laughed. I was only half joking. The DMs. But girl, the DMs. Let me tell you what happens when you expose a cheating groom, burn down a wedding, and go viral wearing gold like a Greek revenge goddess. Your DMs light up like a Christmas tree in a Red Bull factory. Just saw your toast on TikTok. You're my hero. I would have paid to see that live. Do you do speaking engagements? So, are you single? From someone with a dog and a respectable bookshelf might respond. But the one that hit hardest? From a girl named Samantha. She wrote, Hi, Leah. I was engaged to Daniel 6 years ago. He left me abruptly and I never knew why. I thought it was something I did. Thank you for giving me closure. I cried when I watched your video. I wasn't crazy. Let me tell you, I read that one sitting on my couch in a hoodie, wine in hand, and I felt it. That's the part people don't see. The revenge was delicious, yeah. But the real power? Giving people the clarity they never got. Letting them know they weren't imagining it. The best part? Emily sent me one more text. Just 3 words. He's suing me. Apparently, Daniel, jobless, exposed, and desperate, decided to try suing Emily for defamation because she leaked his journal. Which she didn't. I did. Anonymously. From a burner email account I created named truthhurts2023@protonmail.com. But let him try. She's got money. She's got proof. And now? She's got me. We might never braid each other's hair again, but hell hath no fury like 2 women who dated the same man and finally chose each other over him. When Emily told me Daniel was suing her for defamation of character and emotional damages, I actually laughed so hard I snorted coffee onto my laptop. He was suing the woman he cheated on, humiliated publicly, and abandoned within 72 hours of marriage? Cute. Apparently, the suit alleged that she maliciously and publicly disseminated private material, aka his creepy manipulation notebook, and that she had conspired with others to ruin his reputation. Others being, guess who? Me. Oh, baby. You want a tango in court? That's adorable. You might recall, I'm a lawyer. The setup. Emily and I met up the night before the hearing. It wasn't warm and fuzzy, but it wasn't cold either. We had this unspoken pact. We survived him. Now we bury him. I offered to prep her. She brought wine. We practiced her testimony, organized her evidence. And when she left, I pulled out the gold dress. Dry cleaned, still flawless. The same one I wore when I stood up at the mic and torched his marriage. And I thought, why not finish what I started? In style. Court day. We walked in like Thelma and Louise. Deposition edition. Daniel was already there, cast on his hand. Oh, right, from punching a filing cabinet. Suit a little wrinkled. His new lawyer a nervous-looking guy who probably got his JD from a vending machine. His expression when he saw me? Priceless. He didn't expect me to show. He definitely didn't expect the dress. The hearing was short. Pathetically so. Daniel claimed emotional distress. We submitted a time-stamped log of the journal discovery, a sworn affidavit from Emily about the timeline, video evidence of Daniel sending the journal via email to a friend as a joke 2 years ago. Thank you, Google Archive. His own words killed his credibility. And the cherry on top? His firm submitted a letter denying any association with his actions or behavior, confirming he was no longer employed there. It took the judge less than 20 minutes to dismiss the case. Mr. Carson, she said dryly, you seem more upset about the consequences than the actions that caused them. Game over. We didn't cheer. We didn't gloat. We just walked out. In silence. In gold. But wait, there's more. That afternoon, I sent a gift basket. To who? James from HR. Inside, a bottle of top-shelf scotch, a gold-foiled thank you card, and a framed photo of me, mid-toast, mic in hand, with the caption, "For services rendered in the downfall of a mediocre man." He messaged back, putting it on my desk. I hope he did. What about Daniel? Last I heard, living in a sublet studio across town, working contract gigs. Still insists he was set up. Sir, the only setup was your life, and you were the one holding the match. Emily? She's in therapy. She's healing. She sends me dog memes now. Not best friends, but maybe real ones. And me? I finally blocked the last number. Bought myself a sleek little necklace with a mic charm. Every time I touch it, I remember. Never let anyone shame you for telling the truth out loud, especially not the ones who tried to silence you. It's been exactly 1 year since I picked up that mic and set fire to the fairy tale. And I still get messages. Not from Daniel, of course. He's gone radio silent, which I assume is court-ordered or ego-inflicted. Probably both. His LinkedIn now reads consultant, the career version of It's Complicated. Emily's doing better. She moved to a smaller city, switched careers. She's a vet tech now, who knew, and has a rescue dog named Karma. Fitting. She sends me updates sometimes. Photos of her smiling. It's the first time I've seen her look genuinely unposed in years. We're not sisters the way we once were. But maybe we're something stronger now, women who have seen each other at our worst, and still decided to heal. As for me, I took a promotion. Bought myself a new apartment with a wraparound balcony and not a single piece of furniture from my past. I started going to therapy not because I was broken, but because I refused to carry other people's damage any longer. And yes, the Mike Charm necklace is still my everyday jewelry. It's my reminder that I don't sit quietly for anyone anymore. That I say what needs to be said, even when it makes the room uncomfortable. Especially then. The message. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in my favorite cafe. Rain outside, chai latte in front of me, laptop open but untouched. I got a DM from someone named Mara. Hi Leah. You don't know me, but I dated Daniel in college for 3 years. I watched your speech last night. Someone shared it in a Reddit thread about epic wedding moments, and I recognized him instantly. I watched the whole thing 3 times. I just wanted to say, thank you. I thought it was just me. I thought I was crazy, that I was too sensitive or too dramatic. Watching you stand up there, calm, composed, telling the truth with no apology, made something inside me settle. I finally believed it wasn't my fault. You didn't just save your sister. You saved a version of me I didn't know still needed saving. I cried, not because I was sad, but because I finally felt seen. I read it twice, then a 3rd time. Then I ugly cried into my chai like someone in a Hallmark movie who just discovered a new Christmas meaning. But it wasn't about Christmas. It was about closure. The real revenge. People think revenge is fire and fury. That it's red lipstick and shattered glasses and dramatic walkouts. And sometimes, it is. But the real revenge is peace. Peace that lives in your bones. In your schedule. In your quiet mornings. In not needing an apology because you already reclaimed your power. I told the truth. I did it publicly. I did it wearing gold. And in doing that, I stopped being the broken-hearted girl in someone else's story and became the hero in my own. So, if you're ever wondering whether you should speak up, speak. Even if your voice shakes. Even if the people in the front row call you dramatic. Even if they beg you to keep the peace. Because sometimes, the peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from the sound of your own voice, finally ringing out clear and unapologetic. And sometimes, it comes from the mic drop heard around the world. The end.